you will see Somali in Beijing, in Shenzhen, and a Chinese mega city, Chongqing. Wait, just so they know, Xi Jinping, I'm with you, brother. Don't ever question me. Don't ever question me, Xi Jinping. Japan will pay for what they've done to you. For what they've done to the greatest country on earth, the Communist People's Republic of China.
Let me apologize in advance for making another video about this troublemaking punk who calls himself Johnny Somali. Unfortunately, this guy holds an American passport, but I think our friends in South Korea can see that we dislike this guy just as much as you do. Regardless, we send our apologies, okay? We don't want to claim him, but we kinda have to, at least legally. Well, as seen in my last video, Johnny has been physically assaulted no less than 3 times in South Korea and is now under investigation, ostensibly still in the country. Many rumors are circulating, but I'm not here to report rumors. I'm here to give you guys the facts. The last solid information that we got is that Johnny is being monitored by the South Korean government and is now facing 3 charges in total, 2 for assault and 1 for illegal substances. What I'm hoping personally, and at least what appears to be happening, is that Johnny is still in Korea and under investigation. I think the best thing that could happen is that Johnny is held accountable for his actions as subject to South Korean law. It's not in anyone's best interest for him to get let off the hook with just a slap on the wrist. This guy is a chronic offender and a chronic troublemaker, and unless he is forced to face a legitimate punishment, he's just going to continue his whole shtick. Where will he go next? It's hard to say. In a live stream, Johnny did say that he plans to come to China this year.
You will see Somali in Beijing, in Shenzhen, and a Chinese mega city, Chongqing. Wait, just so they know, Xi Jinping, I'm with you, brother. Don't ever question me. Don't ever question me, Xi Jinping. Japan will pay for what they've done to you. For what they've done to the greatest country on earth, the Communist People's Republic of China.
Now, I've seen some of you in the comments say that he wouldn't be allowed in the country. Well, that could be true, but there's no way to know. China has a 144-hour visa-free entry into select cities for U.S. citizens and citizens of many other countries as well. I'm guessing that someone in China is watching Johnny's situation carefully and could possibly put him on a blacklist that would forbid him from entering China. But if they didn't, then he could get in. When I posted my last video about Johnny on Twitter, I did have a Chinese troll telling me in the comment section, basically blaming Japan for letting Johnny off the hook and saying that they hope Korea doesn't as well, and saying that, you know, China has this drug testing policy and that because Johnny, it looks like he's got drugs in his system, well, he would be prohibited from even entering China in the first place. Well, like I said, that was just a troll online, and I'm not sure that that's the case. Because as far as I can see, drug testing for 144-hour visa-free visitors is not standard procedure and implemented only selectively at best. I mean, think about it. If everybody that was trying to enter China just for a very short term, maybe a couple of days, had to undergo this type of drug testing, I think it would deter a lot of people from coming. Not necessarily for fear of having something in their system, but just because it would be perceived as being troublesome and potentially invasive. Right now, China is trying to build their tourism industry back up. International tourism to China is way down. Since COVID and a few other things, it has taken a major hit. So right now they want to build tourism back up. And drug testing every single person that was coming into China just for a couple days on one of these visa-free entry options, I don't think that would help them in achieving their goal. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I live in China and I'm on a work visa, so I've never needed to enter under the new short-term visa-free policy. Have any of you guys watching ever tried it? If you did, were you subjected to a drug test upon arrival? Please let me know in the comments below. That's an important question. From what I've seen online, I'm guessing that you probably weren't. So what if Johnny did get into China? That's the big question here. What would happen to him? Being that this is hypothetical, there's no way to really know, but with my experience of over a decade here in China, I'll share my thoughts with you on how this might play out for old Johnny boy if he were to visit the land of the dragon. I've seen many in the comments saying that if Johnny came to China, he'd be disappeared, never to return. Actually, I honestly don't think that would happen. Here's my prediction on what would happen if Johnny were able to enter China. He would likely get up to his usual tricks. He'd be in a major city because those are the areas that are allowing this visa-free policy. So the locals would be somewhat used to seeing foreigners. They wouldn't be looking at him suspiciously, at least not to begin with. But here's the thing. The first time Johnny caused a scene and offended the locals, the police would be there in an instant. Their reaction would all depend on the nature of the offense. For example, was he just playing loud music in a subway again? Well, if that was it, he'd probably just get a warning and be able to continue on his escapade. Johnny has a history of sexually harassing locals. That would be a big step above just playing loud music. China has strict laws against this, but the question is, would the person being harassed by Johnny contact the authorities, or would she just shout at him, maybe argue with him, curse him? Would a mob gather and attack Johnny? Well, it's hard to say, but in China there are strict laws against fighting, so even if you didn't start the fight, if you engage in fighting, you will be in trouble. China has a famous saying about fighting. Here it goes. If you lose, you'll end up in the hospital. If you win, you'll go to jail. You can even see this on signs posted in some places throughout China. Needless to say, though, that the locals would have out their phones filming Johnny and uploading it to Chinese social media, which would cause a huge uproar. This would definitely get the attention of the authorities. Chinese netizens online would be livid, they would be pissed, and I personally think that the authorities would seek Johnny out. Now, would he be warned, arrested, deported? Would they just give him a stern talking to? I mean, what would happen? Well, there's no way to say, as the situation is hypothetical. Johnny also has a habit of bringing up and exploiting highly sensitive political issues wherever he goes in order to get a reaction out of the people. That would be a step too far for him in China. If he crossed that line, I honestly think he'd be detained. But here's the thing, guys. He wouldn't be disappeared, as some of you think. Because China would crack down on him so quickly, I think they'd deport him before he got a chance to get too deep into his antics. They'd stop the problem quickly and just get him out of here. At least, that's my guess. Sure, if he were allowed to roam around for days and weeks and keep doing more and more offensive stuff, then yeah, sure, some really bad things would almost certainly eventually happen to him. He's been on a rampage in South Korea for weeks now. China wouldn't tolerate it for that long. Depending on what he did, I think he might get detained for a few days, maybe fined, and then deported. I honestly don't even think he'd get beaten up. I don't think he would get disappeared. Maybe a short detention, maybe a fine, and then deportation. Goodbye, Johnny. Problem solved. China moves on about their business. This is all just guesswork. Like I said, there's no way to know if he would even be able to get into China. I would expect not, but you never know. And if he did get in, I think they'd nip the problem in the bud pretty damn quick and send him back to the US. Only time will tell. Where will old Johnny boy end up next? Hopefully, in the best interest of himself and the world, hopefully he'll get to see what the inside of a South Korean jail cell looks like. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.